The following facts highlight the chaotic and often surprising events that shaped the early years of the Civil War, underscoring the complex and multifaceted nature of the conflict. 1. Fort Sumter ignited the war with a single shot. The Civil War began on April 12, 1861, when a Confederate gunner fired a 10-inch mortar into the sky above Fort Sumter in South Carolina. This single shot marked the start of open hostilities, as Confederate forces surrounded the Union-held fort and launched an unrelenting bombardment. 2. Lincoln's call for 75,000 volunteers fueled secession. After Fort Sumter fell, President Lincoln called for 75,000 militia volunteers to quell what he termed an illegitimate rebellion. This act prompted more Southern states to secede, leading Jefferson Davis to call for 100,000 Confederate soldiers in response. 3. The Union's Anaconda Plan aimed to strangle the South. General Winfield Scott's Anaconda Plan aimed to suffocate the Confederacy by blocking Southern ports and controlling the Mississippi River. Although initially sidelined, this strategy eventually became central to the Union's tactics and helped turn the tide of the war. 4. The First Battle of Bull Run was a spectator event. When Union troops marched towards Manassas in Virginia, hundreds of civilians followed with picnic baskets, expecting an easy Union victory. Instead, they witnessed the bloody Battle of Bull Run, where the Union Army suffered a humiliating defeat and fled back to Washington. 5. Lincoln censored mail and the press to control dissent. Faced with criticism and fears of Confederate sympathizers, Lincoln's administration censored mail, telegraphs, and the press, even arresting critics. This wartime suppression raised concerns about First Amendment rights and led to accusations of tyranny. 6. The Wheeling Conventions created West Virginia. The northwestern counties of Virginia held the Wheeling Conventions and voted to break away from Virginia, eventually forming the state of West Virginia in 1863. This was one of the few regions in the South that remained loyal to the Union. 7. The Battle of Wilson's Creek was a surprise stalemate. At the Battle of Wilson's Creek in Missouri, both Union and Confederate forces planned to ambush each other. A rain delay foiled the Confederate plan, leaving the element of surprise to the Union, yet the brutal battle ended with the Confederates ultimately taking control. 8. The Trent Affair nearly started a war with Britain. In 1861, U.S. forces seized Confederate envoys from the British ship Trent. Britain viewed this as a violation of neutrality and threatened retaliation. To avoid war with Britain, the U.S. released the envoys, easing tensions temporarily. 9. The Confederacy captured Lexington by waiting it out. Confederate General Sterling Price surrounded Union forces in Lexington, Missouri, in a siege marked by intense cannon fire. Rather than assault the Union fortifications, Price chose to wait, forcing the Union surrender.